Hi everyone, my name is Roya, and I'm sorry that I'm a little bit far away from the camera at the moment, but you see I have piles and piles of books here in front of me. These are some serious piles of books, and I'm not sure what to call this video, but basically this is a book haul of books that were already mine, but for the past 10 years they've been in storage in a state that I didn't live in. And so basically, long story short, I will leave the full story in the description if you want to see what the whole deal is, but basically I went to California to get a car and came back with a car full of stuff that was mine, and it was mostly books. So some of those books I sold to a used bookstore and got a buttload of store credit as soon as I got back. Some of those, there are two whole boxes of books that I plan to sell at a yard sale, and actually my band might actually do that yard sale for to raise a little bit of money towards our mini tour bus that we want to get. Most of these are books that I fully intend to keep, and it's still a lot, but it's nowhere even close to the number of ones that I already sold and that I plan to sell. So basically, most of these are ones I've already read. Some of them are huge favorites of mine, and I'm super stoked to have them back. Some of them a few of them I haven't read before, which is kind of weird. So first thing we have here is The Year of the Flood by Margaret Atwood, and this is the sequel to my favorite book, Oryx and Crake. And unlike my copy of Oryx and Crake, this book is nice and pristine. Because I actually only read this one once and it wasn't even this copy. I give it a reread sometime very soon. Next, I have Crown Jewel by Sherwood Smith. This is a big favorite of mine from when I was in high school. It is about a girl who basically is trying to get revenge for her mother's death and get her kingdom back, or something like that. I don't fully remember every single thing, so I may give this one a reread at some point soon as well. Next, I've talked about this book on my channel so many times and not had the copy to hold up for you all, but this is Green Rider by Kristen Britton. And this is also the only book in the series that I actually have a copy of. I have the next like 3 in ebook form, and then the last one I got at the library, but this one is a really amazing book. Seriously, one of my favorite series ever. The only downside is that it takes her forever to write the next book every single time. I swear I have to wait like 4 years in between books or something. Then I have the first 4 books in the Emberverse series. We have Dies the Fire, The Protector's War, A Meeting at Corvallis, and The Sunrise Lands. The Sunrise Lands is the first one in a spin-off series, basically, but this is a really good series. I've talked about this on my channel a bazillion times as well, and it's the one that was inspired by the book Ariel that I just read. But basically, it's about an apocalypse and all technology stops working. And the best part is, it's set where I live in the Portland area, pretty much. And next we have Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I am really happy to have this one back. And we have The Fellowship of the Ring and The Two Towers. My big copy of all of The Lord of the Rings is in South Carolina, where my dad lives, so I'm really glad that I have the first 2 here now. Here's one of the Horatio Hornblower books. This is the one I read most recently, I believe. Okay, so next we have The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, and this is a historical fiction book about some crazy people in the Middle Ages. And then Moonraker's Bride. This is the favorite book of my friend Haley, and I read it when she recommended it to me, and it is just, it's about a girl who is from England but raised in China because she's an orphan, and then an English family basically needs a Chinese child in order to translate a text or something like that. So they get her because she was raised in China, so she's basically just like a Chinese child. And the whole thing she has to do is help them figure out where this treasure is. And it's really weird. Then there are some other people who want the treasure and all kinds of craziness. I may have to give this a reread soon because I'm fuzzy on some of the details, which is kind of weird. But also, So my friend Haley just called this a cover of lies when I got this book because she has blonde hair on the front and she's supposed to have brown hair, and then like none of the people look anything like they're supposed to. The Tin Drum by Gunter Grass, and this is a historical fiction-ish story. I guess it's a historical fiction story about a boy who consciously like stunts his growth basically, and there's a lot of crazy layers to this book. It's really good. So if you like kind of general literature and or historical fiction, I highly recommend it. It won an award. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I'm definitely gonna have to reread because I remember like not that much stuff about it at all. Princess by Jean Sasson, which is a biography of a Saudi Arabian princess. I really like reading this and all its sequels. They're all really good. So I was reading a lot of James Bond books at one point. So here we've got On Her Majesty's Secret Service and I believe Casino Royale. The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I really like this book. I've read it like 3 times or something. And although I gave it to my mom for Christmas once and she did not like it because just as a parent and because it's about parents with like horrible priorities and all kinds of stuff. So basically just if you're a parent you might not like this, but if you're not a parent you should seriously read this. Gania in Taurus, which is obviously a play and it's really good. I loved reading it for like 2 different classes. The Odyssey by Homer, because I'm not gonna do away with my copy of the Odyssey. I think I need a copy of the Odyssey because everyone needs a copy of the Odyssey, don't you think? And The Number Devil is a book that my dad and my sister and I read together for like a while, so it's kind of perfect if you're bad at math like me. It's really kind of interesting. Like it makes math really interesting, and it's actually like a fictional, like a novel, but it goes through a whole bunch of different numbery things. It's super interesting. So we've got Beowulf, because why not? Rule of St. Benedict, because I can't really sell this to anybody. It's like a really tiny stapled together thing. Words of Isaac Asimov, because I don't know, whenever I'm reading a book by Isaac Asimov, I may need to look up what some weird word like quantum is. Although Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is a really good classic, definitely one of my favorite classics, and honestly, my cousin who died of a brain tumor gave me this copy, so in some ways it's kind of like, hey, well, maybe I should hang on to this copy because that's just, you know, like the last thing that somebody gave you. Here I have 2 copies of Bleak House. I'm really not sure what to do.Maybe I should do a giveaway for one of them. Because I think that might be fun, but this is also a really good classic, and it's like 1,000 pages, but it's like 1,000 pages of good shit, you know? Catcher in the Rye, because who doesn't want a copy of The Catcher in the Rye in their house? Grande Expectations, which is a book about Starbucks and kind of their stock and where they like went as a company. And while I'm not a fan of like Starbucks as a corporation that, you know, buys out coffee people and everything, like a company that does good things too, like environmentally friendly cup sleeve things, and they pay for people's school who are working there and who are like in management positions there and whatnot. So they do a lot of really cool stuff too. I remember I read this book in college because I was writing a paper, and my dad actually got me this book and sent it to me and said, here, this is a good thing to read for your paper. So I read the whole thing, and so I think they might still have some valuable information in it now that I'm an adult, so I figured I should hang on to this and read more of it again. Who Are We? So this is a political book. Go on my shelf next to That Used to Be Us. The Mockingbird by Harper Lee. By the way, Harper Lee apparently just passed away last month, which is a huge bummer, but at least, you know, this was a good book. Fugitives and Refugees by Chuck Palahniuk. I read this when I first moved to Portland because that is what Portland is about. It's about Portland, basically. So I think it would be interesting to read it again because I don't remember a whole lot about it. Stotan! by Chris Crutcher, and I don't actually remember what this book is about at all, but I do remember his other books, Super Word Power, and I have no idea what this is. Yojo-kun, Life Lessons from a Samurai. And this one's kind of fun because it has different things. It's kind of like when you open a page to a different Rumi poem every day. This is like opening the page to a different life lesson from a samurai every day. And this is a book about Japan. It's called Wrong About Japan. And I don't remember, I don't recall anything about it at all, but I am not even sure if I've actually read this or not. But I think this would be an interesting thing to give a read to because it's about a guy who went to Japan and all this stuff. I can scoot a little closer to the camera now that some books are not in the way. Here we're gonna get into some books that I have not actually read. So here's The Blue Sword, which I have DNF'd not once but twice. Once in middle school and once in college. What I'm gonna do actually, since my challenge from the TBR jar this month was to read a book I DNF'd, I may actually go with this one because this one is only 250 pages. The Dante Club, which I think I bought when I was in high school, and I didn't end up reading it. But it is a murder mystery type thing, I think, so that seems to be right up my alley right now. And Vanity Fair, I also bought while I was in high school because I think I saw the movie, and then I ended up not reading this, so I guess I'll have to get to it now. I have a couple of huge German books here. So we have here Das Lied der Dunkelheit, and this is actually The Painted Man, or The Warded Man, by Peter V. Brett, and I didn't even know it was a translation when I got this. I think I figured it was because the author's name is obviously, like, English sounding, but this is a really big, huge, heavy book, and it just really intrigued me a lot based on, like, what it was about and everything. But then I actually tried reading the ebook of this in English, and for some reason just could not get into it. So I don't know if I'm gonna actually read this copy in German or not. Same thing with Der Turm by Uwe Telkamp. So these are both German bestsellers, so if you've read them, let me know what you thought. So I also once, in Germany, I found 3 German Agatha Christie books in a dumpster and just took them. Because I was just on my way to class and I was like, okay, and I just grabbed them. And I still have not read them. So then I also have a German copy of The Three Musketeers that I found in that same dumpster, that same occasion. Hexen and Hexenglaube. And these were both for a class that I ended up not taking really in German because I showed up one time, didn't understand a thing that the teacher was saying, and didn't come back. Because in Germany you don't have to actually register for your classes. You don't register for your classes until like halfway through the term, so you can just go to whatever classes you want to. And I was not the only foreign student with that problem, because there are some really funny accents where I was, and it is really hard to understand what anybody's saying, even if you speak German fluently. But I hung on to these books because I figured that I would want to read them at some point, because at least books do not have crazy dialects. Well, sometimes they do, but usually not. I have some other funny German books that I think I got on several different occasions. We have Tagebuch einer Katze, Fälle für den Kommissar, and Die Tat und ein Fall für Herrn Schmidt. And so these were fun ones to read when I was first learning German, pretty much, because they're super, super short. Richter und sein Henker, which I actually did read. I think it's from Switzerland, actually, and it's a crime novel. Indian Fairy Tales, Die Reise mit dem Einhorn, which is the trip with the unicorn. Myths of the People. We have Löwe, which just means lion. And I think I got most of these books forever ago and just, like, I didn't know what to do with them because they're cool. That was, like, the only reason I got them. They're cool, I wanted to read more German books, etc., etc. This thing of German short stories that is just, you know, it has the English on one side and the German on the other side. And I also have The Lost Honor of Katharina Blum by Heinrich Böll, and this was a Christmas present from my dad when I first started learning German, because this is a German classic. And you know what? I already have 27 minutes of footage on this, so I may just have to make this a part one and part two. So part two will be a lot shorter, but I'm going to just stop right there with this video because that's really silly. So I will see you soon with my part two. Bye!